Most folks think evil makes some kind of announcement. Screams, loud gunfire, bedlam ripping through the air. Sometimes evil whispers. It conceals itself in the heat, in the lethargic swing of a rope, in the quiet of a body that ought not to be moving at all. That was the view in store for Jack Cobburn. Jack wasn't the kind of man to be easily unsettled. 43 years old, and 2 tours of the war under his belt. More friends buried in his lifetime than he'd ever get around to naming. He'd moved west for the one reason, to vanish. A dry, forgotten property just beyond Tombstone, Arizona, sold to him for $1. The sort of place where the sun baked the earth into stone, and the neighbors looked out for their own damn business. He was prepared for creaking fences, some rattlesnakes. What he discovered instead was her. She hung just outside the front gate. Behind her, a barn leaned in disrepair, weeds grasping high and dry. The rope groaned in the wind, holding her in a slow, mournful swing. Long brown hair matted over her white skin. A chair was shattered on the ground underneath her feet, and over it all, nailed high so anyone could see, a burned plank of wood, black letters seared deep into it. Traitor. Justice served. Jack's gut twisted. He recognized the odor of death. He'd encountered it too many times. But this girl, she wasn't dead. Not yet. Her skin was still warm. No thought, no pausing. Jack let go of the reins, pulled out his knife, and cut the rope cleanly through. Her body dropped easily like dry winter twigs. He fell to his knees, laid his ear on her lips, and gave her breath. 1 minute, then the next, and then she gasped, coughed, eyes flickered open.
No screams, no weeping.
Just a look, hard, bewildered, as if she could not determine if he were man or animal. Her name, he would discover subsequently, was Claire Whitman, 24 years of age. Last living member of a family the town assumed had disappeared 3 years previously. Jack realized something then. That ranch he purchased for $1 wasn't simply land. It was concealing something ugly. She didn't say much for the first hour. Sat on the porch with her knees pulled up, drinking water as if she didn't think it would last. Jack tied a dirty kerchief around her throat to cover the rope burns and didn't push her for information. He'd seen that expression before. Eyes looking somewhere far away, something only she could see. But silence piles up in the desert. At last Jack leaned on a post and snapped it. "Always welcome strangers that way?" he asked. Or was today a special day? It elicited a smile from her. Small but genuine. And then she talked to him. Her family had owned this ranch for years. Her father wasn't a rancher, however, he was a geologist. Constantly digging holes, writing unusual numbers, measuring earth. One day, years ago, he discovered something enormous. Not gold, not oil, water. Deep, clean, deep enough to sustain the entire valley for a decade of summers. They left it in silence. Out here, you don't boast about treasure. But secrets tend to crawl out. A man named Maddox discovered the truth. Owned half of the saloons in Tombstone, coveted the rest. Water spelled power. Land that was worthless yesterday would make you king tomorrow. Maddox made a proposal. Claire's father declined. And that was the start of the end. And that was the start of the end. One summer afternoon, the well collapsed. Collapsed in on itself as if the ground had swallowed it whole. They attributed it to an accident. But Claire? She didn't believe it for a moment. She took an oath she could see boot prints where they shouldn't be. Claimed the supporting beam wasn't splintered from years of use. It was cut, as straight as a butcher's knife. Her father never returned outside. Soon afterwards, the title to the land was transferred. Legal documents, clean signatures, all in good order. Except. Soon afterwards, the title to the land was transferred. Legal documents, clean signatures, all in good order. Except Claire never signed a document. Nevertheless, they drove her out. She fled, vanished, waiting patiently. Maddox may have stolen the property, but he didn't have the nerve to file it in his own name. A fake deed was a risky thing, so he left the land alone, assuming no one would be silly enough to purchase a jinxed piece of land. But Jack Cobburn had no idea. He just noticed a vacant lot up for county sale. No other offers, and scooped it up for $1. He figured he was purchasing tranquility. Instead, he stomped into a war. Claire had come back because she still had something Maddox couldn't. Her father's original geological survey. Not only vague sketches, but a detailed map. Depths, layers, pressure points. A guide to the lifeblood buried beneath dead land. She'd hidden it someplace safe. That's why they'd attempted to hang her. Jack didn't say a word, just stared out at the hills. What he saw now wasn't a ranch. It was a fuse, waiting for someone to light a match. That's when they heard the horse's hooves. Slow, steady, not hurried, but not friendly either. 3 riders rode up through a red dust haze.
No wagons. No supplies.
Just men and intent. The one in the lead was dressed in a black coat several shades cleaner than a working ranch hand should have, low brim on his hat. The 2 standing next to him remained quiet, hands resting close to their guns like it was second nature. They drew up 10 paces from the porch. The point man remained in the saddle. "You the new owner?" His tone was uninflected, as dry as would sun-faded. Jack nodded once. "That's correct. Purchased it for $1, eh?" The man smiled, a rattlesnake smile. "Heard there are complications with this land." Jack didn't flinch. To date, only weeds, fences, and a girl someone attempted to hang. Jack didn't flinch. To date, only weeds, fences, and a girl someone attempted to hang. The man's gaze shifted to Claire. "She doesn't have any place here." "Neither do you," Jack replied. A prolonged silence. Leather cracked. Heat hung over them like a burden. Lastly, the man shifted forward in his saddle. "This land's part of something greater now. People who get in the way tend to get underneath it." Jack moved off the porch. Ease. Slow. No gun in his hand, only his eyes fixed on the stranger. "Then I guess," Jack spoke, as easy as Sunday morning, "you better start digging." The riders stood his gaze for a moment, and then turned their horses in silence. They did not say goodbye. They did not have to. As their forms dissolved into the heat haze, Jack breathed slow. "They'll be back," Claire whispered. "I know," Jack replied. "And next time, they won't be alone." The breeze rustled the parched grass. In that stillness, something changed. The air felt different. A story had begun to breathe. And if you've been riding with us this far, you'd better hold on. Because the next part, that's when the killing starts. If you've been riding with us this far, don't wander off now. Hit that subscribe button because where this story's headed, it's not downhill. After the riders left, the quiet changed. Not peaceful, tense. The kind of stillness when the sky turns yellow and the air tastes like lightning. Claire acted quickly. She lifted up the floorboard under the ancient stove, drew out a tiny wooden box covered in cloth. Her hands shook just hard enough to betray her. Inside, the map. Jack saw her unroll it. The paper was old and yellowed, edges sharp as autumn leaves, lines hand-drawn, and annotation in the neat, obstinate writing of a man who cared for land he tilled. "This vein goes directly through the North Ridge," Claire said softly. "My father worked 10 years mapping it." Jack nodded. "And people will kill for it." Jack nodded. "And people will kill for it." No response. Only the faint rustle of the map being folded back into the box. Jack poured 2 cups of coffee and sat across from her. "You sure nobody else knows this?" Claire hesitated. "I did not think so." That was when they heard it, a knock. Not on the front door. The back. Jack crept slow, hand on his revolver. He peered through the curtain. A middle-aged man, dusty attire, wiry build. Something about him pulled at Jack's memory. Claire stepped behind him, catching her breath. "Pete," she whispered. "He worked for my father. Vanished after the well collapsed." The man knocked a second time. Low-voiced. "Ain't here to steal. Just here to talk. And I know where that vein ends. You need me, Jack. More than you know." Sometimes the devil knocks polite. Before Jack could speak, the rumble came rolling in, hoofbeats. Fast. Many. Too close. Hide it. Now. Jack threw the map to Claire. Pete dissolved into the darkness just as the front gate creaked open. Dust erupted into the yard. 8 riders today, and they were all carrying guns. At their center was Harper Maddox's right-hand man. Face of stone. Smile of sin. He did not speak first, but instead examined the porch as if he already claimed it as his own. Finally, he said, "We came for the map and the girl. If you're thinking of playing hero, be ready to die for dirt." Jack's gaze didn't waver. Some land isn't dirt. Some land is memory, blood, promise. Silence pressed down. Then Harper moved. Not fast enough. The first shot came from Pete, clean and sharp. The second was Jack's. Pandemonium broke out. Bullets ripped the hot air. Claire sought cover behind the stove. Pete got shot in the arm but continued to fire. Jack's jacket ripped as a bullet whipped past his side. He didn't slow. Then silence. Just dust, blood, and Harper lying face down in the ground. Pete was gasping. Claire was trembling. Jack braced against the porch post. Same place he'd. 3 days after that, the sheriff rode in, took testimony, took corpses, and vowed Maddox would account for each phony signature and each spilled drop. Jack remained, rebuilt the fence, fixed the roof, drilled a new well, and Claire remained as well, not because she had no place to be, but because some land needs to be stood on, fought for, loved. Perhaps that's what the truth is about the West. It's not who draws the fastest or who has the most. It's about who keeps their word. So if this tale moved something in you, a memory, a feeling, a flame, give me that like button and subscribe. Now ask me, have you ever stood your ground when no one else would? Is there a person or a thing you'd die for even if it meant losing everything? Because sometimes, what we battle for isn't so much land. It's the vow we won't break.